Okay. So basically, artificial intelligence. So what is an artificial intelligence? It is basically mimic the human intelligence. So whatever, how exactly we will work, how exactly we take the decision, and how exactly we respond to the people, exactly the similar way, the AI tools will perform the same thing. Like whatever we ask, the AI tool will provide the response. So the way of asking or with way of providing the details to the AI tools, which is basically called as a prompting, right? That's a basic thing. The what is prompting means we need to request or we need to ask some data related to whatever it is. So the LLM, the basically the AI tools will provide the response for us. That is basically the process of prompting. So basic understanding. So then we need to understand few important things like LLM, agent, and what is MCP, how exactly it will work, model context protocol, and how many types of MCs or MCPs are available in the market. Okay, so we'll try to understand them. So first, let us start with the LLM. So the basic terminology we need to understand. LLM means what? Anybody knows what is LLM? It is basically a large language model. LLM means what? It's a large language model. So what is large language model? What is large language model? The name itself is clearly saying large language model. So large language model is a terminology. So ChatGPT is an example for LLM. Okay, ChatGPT is an example of LLM like DeepSeek, Google Gemini, Claude. These are all different tools are available under LLM. But what is exactly LLM means? What is the definition? LLM is nothing but what? Large language model. It is a system which is trained with huge data. Okay, so large language model is basically a system which is trained with a large or huge data in the internet, which is basically called LLM. Okay, and there are multiple tools are available in the market. LLM tools. What are those tools? Popular LLMs. Like we have something called ChatGPT initially started, and then we have a Google Gemini by Microsoft and Google, and Claude and DeepSeek. So these are currently very popular LLMs which are available in the market. So what is a LLM means? It is a large language model. So these tools are basically trained with huge data in the internet. It is trained. So when I ask something, how the LLM will respond according to their knowledge, like whatever data they have already trained with, and from that particular data, it will give the response to the user. So that's how exactly LLM works. So what LLM can do, it will answer the questions. If I ask something, it will give the answer and it will also generate the code. Suppose if I provide some context accordingly, the LLMs will also able to generate the code, whatever we want. And for office purposes, we can also generate the email. We can prepare the documentation. It just like works like a chatbot, like how we will two humans will talk to each other through the chat. In exactly the similar way, LLM works. So all are exactly almost the same. Okay, they are from different vendors. ChatGPT, Google Gemini. There are n number of companies are there in the current market, but these are the most popular ones currently we are using in the market. But there are so many n number of LLMs are available in the market, but almost every LLM is almost similar. But some of them are licensed, some of them are free, and again some of them are trial basis we can use for few days. So something like that. But the way of working every LLM is exactly same. So what we need to understand here is what is an LLM? LLM is basically a system which is trained with huge data in the internet. So based on that, the LLM will respond. So what LLM can do, it can answer the questions, it can generate the code, it will prepare the documents, emails. For general purpose, we can use a lot. And some LLMs will support a different type of data. Some LLMs will support only text type of data. It will give the response only in the text format. And some LLMs will also prepare the images. If I provide some proper context, accordingly it will generate the images. And also it will create some videos. Depends upon our context. So there are different type of LLMs will do different type of jobs. Depends upon the the data which they have feed into the system. So that is simply called as a LLM. So what LLMs can do, large language models, it will answer the questions and it will generate the code for developers or testers, and we can generate the automation code. And for general purpose, we can write the emails and document. It just chat like a human. Okay, it will also able to remember the history. Suppose today we have asked something and based on certain context, right? So it is able to remember the history, what exactly we have asked, and related to that, based upon the previous history also, it will try to respond. So it is just go like a chat. Okay, so these are the few things the LLM can do, but there are certain limitations in this. So we will understand that point. Okay, so as of now, the images and videos available, I don't know about the voice and all. Maybe they are also available for LLMs. I have not tried, but most of the professionals make use of it for coding purpose. But other usages also there. Maybe in future, definitely they will come and support almost everything. Okay. So these are the few things the LLM can support. So answers the questions, generate the code, write emails to the document, chart like a human. There are many things. Okay, they are not just limited to these only features, but there are many things. In future also, there are many things will come into picture. But as of now, we can understand just basic stuff. So what is an LLM is? LLM is a system trained with the huge data in the internet, and it will works just like a chart. So whatever we have asked, accordingly, it will provide the response. The way of asking the queries to the LLM is basically called as a prompting process. Okay, so the prompting is another important thing which we have to learn, like what is prompt and how to write the prompt and how to provide the context, and we need to provide the proper input. So based upon the prompting only, it will generate the response. Okay, that is important thing. Okay, so we have understood what is exactly LLM. So what LLM can do, it can generate the generate the content. It generate the content on what basis, and the available content. So it is trained with this huge content, huge data in the background. So based on that, it will able to generate some new content. Okay, it is basically a content generator. It is a content creator, we can simply say. Okay, but when you come to the development point of view or testing point of view, so we need to do something more. Something more means not only generating the code, we need to also do a lot of other things. So there is some limitation in LLM. So every chat GPT or Google Gemini or any DeepSeek, if you take any LLM, there is some uh, limitations. So what exactly the limitation means? So we can ask LLM, like we can ask LLM to write test cases, but the LLM cannot execute the test cases. The LLM cannot launch the browser. LLMs cannot interact with the elements. LLMs cannot interact with the databases. LLMs cannot send the API request. That means what? LLMs can generate the content, but it cannot execute it. So that is the main limitation in LLM. So even if you use ChatGPT or Google Gemini or whatever LLM you use, is it able to access your content from your local system? Suppose you want to write some test case, automation test case. Okay, you can provide the manual test case and LLM will able to generate it. And the entire test case will be generated. So like in Playwright or Selenium, wherever it is. But can it execute the test case? No, it cannot execute the test case. Means what? LLM can think and provide the response or provide the content to you, but it is not able to execute it. It cannot execute anything. It cannot interact with the backend systems. It cannot interact with your local storage or your local data sources. So that is a limitation of LLM. Okay. So now, what is main limitation of LLM? Especially when you come to the professional purpose, like when you're working with the coding or development or testing, majority of the times we will deal with the different resources. We'll deal with the databases. We will send some API request, and we need to execute our test case also on the browser, different browsers. So all these things we cannot achieve with only with LLM. So LLM is only can think, but it cannot execute. So that is the point we need to understand. Okay, so LLMs are great in thinking, but not doing. It cannot perform any action. That is important thing. Okay, so it cannot perform. So LLMs are very good in thinking. Thinking means what? Whatever the prompt which we have given, accordingly, it will generate the content or it will generate the response based upon its knowledge. But LLMs cannot action, cannot be do any action. It cannot open the browser. It cannot clicking on the elements. It cannot do any assertions, nothing. So action related things, LLMs cannot do anything. That is a limitation of LLM. But what they can do, they can generate the content. They can generate the content, but they cannot execute it. Okay. So what LLMs can do? LLMs can open the browser, cannot open the browser or cannot click on the buttons, cannot interact with elements, and it cannot connect to the databases. It cannot call the APIs, right? That is also an action. It is also a task. So when I send a get request or post request or put request, there should be some execution is involved. So those type of things, LLM alone cannot do that. LLM itself cannot do that. But how to overcome this particular problem? So to overcome this particular problem, we have something called agent. Then AI agent come into picture. That's the next thing. So next thing is what? Agent. So what agent will do? Agent along with LLM will able to perform the action. Okay. Agent along with LLM will perform the action. It can generate the code. It can execute the code. It can interact with the browser. It can also interact with the elements. At the same time, it will also able to interact with the database. It will able to connect with the databases, backend sources. A lot many things. Whatever the developers, whatever testers are doing professionally, everything will able to done by agent along with LLM. LLM alone cannot do that, but along with agent, it will also able to perform the task. So that is called as a agent. Agent come into picture. Okay, now I hope you understood what is the difference between LLM and agent. LLM can only think, it cannot perform any action. It can generate the content, it can generate the code, but that cannot be executed. But who will do that job? Agent can do that. Agent can interact with the backend system. So agent can execute our code. Agent will able to perform the task. That is a major difference between LLM and agent. But again, to perform the task or to execute, agent is also required some other component. Agent is also needed some other component. Agent is just like a mediator. So for that, we need to go for MCP. So agent will perform the task. Agent can perform the action by taking help of MCP. So by taking help of MCP, agent will fulfill the task. Okay. So then MCP come into picture. So first let us understand what is an agent. So LLMs can think but cannot be perform any action. So that we have understood. But what is an agent? I will write all the notes here. I will share it later. You guys can understand this. So what LLMs can do, what LLMs cannot do, we have understood. And then what is an agent? So as per the definition, the agent is a system or a program that takes instructions from the LLM. See, this is a relation between LLM and agent. So LLM cannot perform any action. It can simply generate the data. It can generate the code, but it cannot execute. But where we will provide the instructions? LLM only. Inside LLM only, we will provide all instructions. It can be generating the code, execution code, or whatever. But internally, the agent will take those instructions, means what? The prompts which we provided to the LLM, that agent will take or those instructions, the prompt from LLM, and it will performs real world task using external tools. This is a definition. Even agent is also cannot perform the task, cannot do the action, but it is able to do the action by taking the help of some external tools. MCP is one of the external tool. MCP is one of the external tool. So it acts as a helper that does things the LLM cannot do on its own. So LLM cannot do any action its own, whereas agent will able to do the action by taking the help of external tools. That is MCP. Okay. So now what we understood so far, as a user, what he will do, he will provide the prompt. Prompt is a simple message, a chat we can ask to the LLM. And where we will provide the prompt? LLM. And what LLM will do, if I use only this part, LLM can give the response, can generate the code based upon the test case which we provided. But if you want to execute the test case, again LLM should talk to the agent. Should talk to the agent. But agent also alone cannot do it. It is just a mediator between LLM and MCP. Now agent will use some external tool called MCP. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Model Context Protocol. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. So whenever the user is provided prompt to the LLM can be the ChatGPT or Claude or Google Gemini, whatever. Then what LLM will do? The LLM will directly work with MCP by using agent. So what is an agent here? Agent also alone cannot do the task, but by using agent, by depending on the MCPs or external tools, the agent will able to perform the task. Okay, this is the understanding, the basic understanding. So the user will provide the prompt to the LLM. LLM will perform the task using MCP through agent. This is the connection. Okay. So now, so till here, if I use only LLM, we can generate the content, we can generate the code, we can write the test cases, we can prepare the documentation. Most of the manual testing stuff, we can do it. It will able to generate the manual test cases also. If I just provide the test cases, scenarios and requirement, your ChatGPT or Google Gemini will able to generate the test cases, but it cannot execute the test cases. So to do that, we need to go to the next level. So there, the agent and MCPs come into picture. Okay. Now, there are n number of MCPs are available in the market for every tool. Like we have a Playwright MCP, we have a Selenium MCP, we have a database related MCPs, browser related MCPs. So almost for everything API related. So there are n number of MCPs are available in the market, but again, there is no proper standardization for MCPs. Anybody can design their own MCPs. If I go and look at in the GitHub repositories, there are n number of people who have contributed to design the MCPs for different type of purposes, for testing and development and whatever the task you do in the development process. For almost for every each and every task, there is a dedicated MCPs are available. Okay. So, but for Playwright especially, there is a standard MCP available, Microsoft Playwright, because the Playwright is owned by Microsoft and backend by Microsoft. So they themselves is designed one MCP, standardized MCP, which is available. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. So this is the process. The user will provide the prompt, and then LLM will understand the prompt, and it will internally use the agent to perform the action by taking help of MCP. Okay, so MCP is a main core component here, which will actually able to interact with the browser, perform the actions on the elements, and sometimes we need to interact with the databases. Even that is also done by MCPs. And API requests also we can send through MCPs. Okay, so all the stuff actually done by MCPs through agent. So now what we have understood here, the agent is basically what? It is a mediator between LLM and MCP. It is a mediator between LLM and then MCP. Okay. So now what MCP can do it? What MCP can do? So MCP is basically is a kind of a framework. So that will connect to the LLMs. MCP is a framework that connects LLMs to real world tools like browsers, databases, APIs, And if I provide proper permissions, this MCP is also able to access your local data. Suppose the database is installed on your local system, or you have some files are available in your local systems. LLM cannot access. ChatGPT don't know about your files, what is their files are available in your local system. But MCP, if I provide proper permissions to the MCP will able to get privileges from you, and accordingly it will able to access your local data also sometimes. So MCP is basically a framework that connects LLMs to real world scenario. That means what we have understood. So the agent or MCPs are basically connect the LLMs to the real world tools. What are the real world tools? Like browsers, databases, data sources, or APIs, right? So on the production, they will interact with those systems. So that is called MCP. And also it is allows LLMs to send commands to the tools and get results. So suppose if I provide a simple automation script as a prompt, the LLM can generate the code, but it cannot execute. But what agent will do, it will pick the code, and through MCP server, it will able to perform the action on the browsers, on the backend systems, on API requests. Everything will be done it. So it allows LLMs. But as a user, what we will think is LLM is doing that. No, because agent, MCPs, these are all invisible. It will internally works like because they are the servers actually. MCP servers and agent, MCP is a server. So they will work on the back end. But whatever we can see from the front end is all LLM. From wherever you are providing the prompt, wherever you are doing chatting, so only those options we can see on the UI. But at the back end, agents, MCP servers will be working. So whatever the commands or code we provided in the LLM, in the back end, these things will be taking care. Agent and MCPs will be taking care, and that will actually produce the results. And finally, what we can understand, MCP is a bridge between the LLM and your computer and tools. So the agent is a mediator between LLM and MCP. But how MCP will work? This is the actual component which will able to access your local data or browser, database, APIs, everything. But LLM cannot do that. LLM with agent and MCP can do that. Okay, so that is MCP, Model Context Protocol. So there are n number of MCPs are available in the market for different purposes or different use cases. And if you want to work with the databases, then database related MCPs are available. And if you want to work with the browser, then the browser specific LLM MCPs are available and API specific are there. So for different purposes, and people who are working with the data, ETL or data, big data, like for those related stuff, for those things also MCPs are available. There are n number of MCPs are available in the market. Okay, so here I'm going to show you some examples. I'm just listing out. Later you can just refer them. So these are the different MCPs are available. So these are the different. So browser, to perform the browser automation or to open the browser, filling the forms, interact with the elements. For that, we have a MCPs. And similarly, we also have database related operations. If you want to perform some database related operations, and for them also we have a different MCPs are available to connect the database or any other database to run the queries. It will automatically run the SQL queries. Through LLM, we can generate the queries, but who will run that queries? LLM, MCPs will able to run the queries. And similarly, to perform the API request, we can send the API request, get the API responses. So that is also comes under the action. So those things also we have a dedicated MCPs. So different type of MCPs are available in the market to perform the different jobs. Okay. So far everybody's understood what is the difference between LLM, agent, MCP. So this is the fundamental understanding, the basic understanding which we need to have. So before going further, so before understanding MCPs and how to work with MCP, how we can set up the environment. So we need to understand the basic things. Okay, what is LLM? What LLM can do? What is agent? What is MCP? Okay, so what is MCP? What MCP can do? MCP will connect to the LLMs, to the browser, right, through agent. So MCPs means what? MCP will connect directly to the browsers and databases and APIs through agent. Agent will help the LLM. Okay, because in LLM only we will provide the prompts. The agent will send those to MCP, and MCP actually works with the external tools. Okay, so that is all about the basic understanding. So these are the terminologies which we need to understand. Yes, what is LLM, agent, MCP, and so on. And again, in MCP, we have MCP protocol, MCP server, MCP client. Then multiple things are there. Okay. So this is all about the basic understanding. What is LLM, what is agent, and what is MCP, Model Context Protocol. All right. So now let us take one MCP, Playwright MCP, and then we will see how exactly the Playwright MCP works. So that is our target. All right. So how exactly the Playwright MCP works? So this is a game-changing feature, guys. Maybe in future, let us see. You will see the magic in this. So how exactly MCP works? So now let's move on to the next one. So here we use a different tools, right? So Playwright MCP. We are talking about Playwright MCP. So Playwright MCP. So there are n number of MCPs are there. I'm going to deal with the Playwright MCP. So what we can do with the Playwright MCP, we will see that. So we can do automation testing, we can do API testing. So whatever a Playwright is supported, almost everything we can do using Playwright MCP directly. So by integrating AI. Okay. So to Playwright MCP to use in your Playwright, so we will need to install few things. So we will see the combination MCP along with the Copilot. Okay, there is another thing called Copilot. Okay, so we'll try to understand this. So we will use MCP along with the Copilot. So what is Copilot? This is basically from GitHub. Okay, GitHub Copilot. Anybody have any idea what is GitHub Copilot? What it can do? Copilot. Have you heard of this term earlier? So it is basically helping while generating the code. Okay, it helps us to generate the code. How it will generate the code? Again, it will take the help from the GitHub because it will uh, get the code from GitHub repository. So in the GitHub, there are n number, millions of repositories are there, and so many people they checked in their code, right? So what is GitHub Copilot? It is just like a chat box, right? Whenever you ask something, it will automatically generate the code based upon that information it is having. So it is also trained. It is also kind of an LLM. But what is the specialty of the GitHub Copilot is it is available as a plugin for the IDEs. Like suppose if I look at the ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or any other LLMs, we need to go to their official websites. There is separate URLs are there, and we cannot directly integrate them into your IDEs. Suppose when we are working with VS Code, so we cannot integrate these LLMs directly inside the IDEs. For Eclipse or VS Code or IntelliJ, whichever IDE you are using, we cannot integrate directly these LLMs into our IDE. So Copilot will do that job. So Copilot is a plugin which is available or extension which is available for IDEs. So we can install Copilot in Eclipse or IntelliJ IDE, or we can also install it in VS Code editor. So once we have extension is added, or once we install this extension, we can just use it just like a LLM. How we are interacting with the Chat GPT, Google Gemini, exactly in the similar way, we can also interact with the Copilot. But what is an additional advantage of Copilot is Copilot will able to generate the code. It is a code helper. And even if you have any issues in your code, or if you have any logical issues, or if you have any syntactical issues in your code, that is also able to fix it by Copilot, automatically fixed by Copilot. It is not only code generation tool, it is also able to fix the issues in your code. Okay, so that's how the GitHub Copilot works. Now, what we will see Playwright MCP along with GitHub Copilot by integrating GitHub Copilot with VS Code editor. Okay, so we are going to see Playwright MCP along with GitHub Copilot. We'll see how exactly these things will work. Okay, now, so what are the prerequisites to use this in our Playwright? What are the prerequisites? The first prerequisite is we need to have a VS Code editor. So VS Code, Visual Studio Code editor, we will install. If you don't have, we will install. If you already have, we can use it, existing one. And the second thing is, we need to have a GitHub account. Okay, this is another prerequisite because anyway, we are using GitHub Copilot. So our GitHub Copilot required our GitHub account. So just simply by adding GitHub Copilot, it won't work. So our GitHub Copilot should connect to the GitHub repositories. So for that, we need to authenticate with our GitHub account. So whenever we want to use GitHub Copilot, the prerequisite, you need to have a GitHub account. So once you have installed GitHub Copilot extension, we need to properly authenticate with the GitHub account. So for that, we need a GitHub account. Two things. Now the third thing. Since we are using Playwright MCP, right? So we need to install Playwright first. So Playwright setup you should have. So if you have already Playwright setup in the sense what, again, we need to have a Node.js, right? Node.js is mandatory. So Node.js on top of Node.js, the Playwright will work. So we need to have a Node.js environment. On top of that, Playwright also we should be installed. So by using npm init playwright at the rate latest, by using that command, we will try to install the Playwright. So these are the three prerequisites which we need to have. So Visual Studio Code editor, which we need to have, GitHub account we need to have, and then Playwright should be installation. So Playwright installation is another prerequisite. So these are the three prerequisites we need to have to set up Playwright MCP. Okay, to set up the Playwright MCP or to work with the Playwright MCP, we need to have three important things: Visual Studio Code editor, GitHub account, and Playwright installation. And apart from these three, I will also introduce another thing, especially in the VS Code editor, that is called Playwright. This is optional. I'll show you what exactly it is. Playwright VS Code extension. So we have already installed Playwright. So we can create our automation test case. We can execute. So how to run the test, Playwright test? We normally use npx playwright test command, right? So every time whenever you want to run the Playwright test through command line, we are running it. But through the UI tools, if you want to run your test or if you want to debug your test file, then we also have a VS Code extension for Playwright. So this is optional. Through CLI command also we can do that, but this is an optional. Through the UI options, I'm going to show you that. Okay. So these are the main three components which we need to install before using Playwright MCP, and the VS Code extension from Playwright is optional. And this is especially for running and debugging your code. Okay. So now let us see one by one, step by step. So first, VS Code. So we already have a VS Code editor, which we already installed previously. Now we will start with the new project, okay, from the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new project. So wherever you want, you can just go and create. So I'm just going to automation, and here I'm just creating a new folder, new project. I will call it as a Playwright MCP. Okay. Now I'll just get this project into my VS Code editor. So I'll just open the folder and Playwright MCP. This is my fresh folder. I don't have any installation on this. I don't have a Playwright installation on this folder. So I don't have any files and folder structure, nothing. It is completely empty folder. So we need to have VS Code editor, and also we have a project. Okay. Now the step number one. So these are the prerequisites we need to have. Now we'll go step by step. So what is the step number one? Step number one, we will try to install GitHub Copilot extension. Step number one, install GitHub Copilot extension. So GitHub Copilot extension. So GitHub Copilot is also an extension available in the Playwright. And this is the different, guys. Okay. Playwright VS Code extension is different. And GitHub Copilot extension is different. Okay. So here I will mention this. Okay. GitHub Copilot. So to work with the GitHub Copilot, we need a GitHub account. Okay. So VS Code editor, we already have. So now the next thing is what we need to install GitHub Copilot extension. So how to install extensions in the VS Code? Simply go to the UI and here you can see some option called extensions. Okay. So just click on this small boxes you can see, right? The shortcut key is Control Shift X. So once you click on this extensions, here it will show you all the extensions. I need to just search for it. So I'm searching for GitHub Copilot. So as soon as you search for GitHub Copilot, and here you can see the multiple options it will show you, and you need to install this one. So GitHub Copilot. Once you install GitHub Copilot, by default, GitHub Copilot chat box also will come along with that. So this is the one you need to install. These are all officially designed by GitHub itself. So this is a GitHub Copilot which we need to install. So select this extension because I already installed this. So I'm not getting install button, but in your case, here it will show you install button. And suppose if you already installed GitHub Copilot, you can also disable or enable whenever you want. If you don't want to use GitHub Copilot, you can just disable it. Okay, but once you install it, it will be is enabled state. Okay, so what is the definition of GitHub Copilot? It is a AI peer programming tool that helps you to write the code faster and smarter. So I already installed it, so I'm getting uninstall button. So in your case, it should be install button. You will get an install button here. Okay, so once you click on this install, you will see the GitHub Copilot. So how we can see the GitHub Copilot once you have installed? Go back to your project and where we can see GitHub Copilot. So as soon as you have installed GitHub Copilot, here in the bottom screen, you can see here, GitHub Copilot options, you will able to see here. Okay. And by default, you see the logout option here. So here also you can see in the top window also you can see. So here you can see multiple options. So manage Copilot, configure code completions, quick chart, open chart. You can see these options. But first time, whenever you are installed the Copilot, you need to authenticate with your GitHub repository. So by default, you don't see these options. So you will see something called sign in button here. You can see the GitHub icon, but along with that, you will see the sign in button. So once you click on the sign in button, so it will automatically connect to the GitHub repository and it will ask you to authenticate. Okay, so let me show you. I have already captured the screenshot so that you can understand better. So this is how it will. So once you have installed GitHub Copilot extension, once you click on install button, so you will see like this. Sign into Copilot. So because already signed out, you need to sign in. So in the bottom window, you can see here in this place, you can see the button. So once you click on this Copilot, and then it will continue the procedure. So you need to click on the continue. So once you click on the sign up, it will try to connect to your GitHub repository. So you need to just click on the continue by providing your account. By default, it will take your GitHub account or else you have to provide it. And after that, it will ask you to authorize. So this is the next screen you will get. So once you click on continue, then here authorize Visual Studio Code. Because you are integrating this extension with your Visual Studio Code editor. So we need to give proper privileges to this GitHub Copilot extension to work with the Visual Studio Code. So for that, we need to authorize. So once you click on authorize, it will give you some pop-up window like this. And you can, once you click on open Visual Studio Code, it will automatically connect it to Copilot with VS Code. So once it is connected, then you will able to see these options. So once you click on it, you will see these options. And even if you go back here at the top, you can see these options. And when you click on the open chart, it will open the chart box. You can see this. So this is LLM. So this is the Copilot is also an LLM. Okay, Copilot is also an LLM. It is not MCP, it is not an agent, it is an LLM. Simply, it is an LLM. So we have successfully installed Copilot. Now, the Copilot is what? Copilot is a helping tool which will able to generate our code based upon our instructions. So we can also attach the context. We can also type something here. And not only the text, through voice also we can provide the context. Okay, through voice. So if suppose if you don't want to type something, you can simply enable this voice and accordingly you can provide the voice instructions. Okay, and inside the Copilot, Copilot is basically an editor, and here there are multiple options called agent, edit, ask. So by default, if you say ask, the Copilot directly works. It acts as a LLM directly. But if I take the agent, because if you want to work with the MCPs, as I said before, our LLM will talk to the MCPs, right? That we need to specify. So take the agent here, and here you can see Claude, GPT, there are multiple Copilot models are available. So you can take any one of this model. Okay, so I will come to this part later. So the first step, we need to install Copilot. So we need to install the Copilot. So this is the procedure. Now, so once the Copilot is successfully installed, so the next process is, so once the Copilot is successfully installed, the next step is we need to sign into the GitHub Copilot and do that process. And after that, we need to install Playwright MCP server. Step 2. Playwright MCP server. So Playwright MCP server. So we already have VSCode, GitHub Copilot also we have installed. Also we connected to our GitHub account. Then what we need, we already, so again, before installing Playwright MCP server, we need to also install Playwright. Okay, so Playwright is compulsory. So let us do the step number 3. So how to install Playwright in the project? Go to terminal, and what is the command to install Playwright? npm. Do you guys remember what is the command to install Playwright? npm init Playwright @latest. So whatever latest version is currently available, we can use it. npm init Playwright @. Again, to run this command, we need to have Node.js. Okay, Node.js. First, we need to install Node.js. Then only all npm packages we will be able to install. So once we install Playwright, then we can start installing Playwright MCP server. So it is by default asking, by default TypeScript is selected. So I'm just saying enter. Where do you want to put end-to-end test? In the test folder. GitHub workflow actions, I don't need for now. I say false. And browsers, do we need browsers to be installed? Yes. So now it is started installing my Playwright on the new project. Right, so successfully installed. Now I got to enter the folder structure. So test folder, node modules, examples, and everything, I got it here. So this is the prerequisite. So now we'll come back. So VS Code installed, GitHub Copilot is also installed. Playwright is also installed. Playwright is also installed. First 3 we successfully installed, right? And if you need Playwright VS Code extension, this is also we can install. I will show you what is our advantage of this. Go to again extensions one more time. And here type Playwright. Okay, and Playwright VS Code extension. So go here, Playwright. Okay, so this is the one. So Playwright test for VS Code. So you can just execute. We can select it because I already installed. So I'm not getting install button. So in your case, you will get a install button. So Playwright test for VS Code. There are multiple things are there. Don't go with them. So the first one, Playwright test for VS Code. So this is the one you need to install. This is just an extension to run the test cases without using CLI. So normally to run the test, what you will do, you will say npx Playwright test folder. Then we will say test name dot spec dot ts. So we will, most of the times we will give this command, right, to run the test. So to avoid this command line interface, and you have some options called run option. Here also you will get some options, run option, debug options. To use those options, we can install this additional extension. So in that case, if you have this extension, you don't need to execute this command every time. So for that, I have installed this. Okay, this is the optional extension. If you have, you can have. If you don't have, you need to run through command. Okay, so VS Code is installed, GitHub Copilot is also installed, Playwright is also installed, extension is also installed. Everything is there. These are the prerequisites. But actually, we haven't still installed MCP server. Okay, we have just installed only the tools which we required to start with MCP server. Okay, so now let us see how we can install MCP server. So all four things we have successfully installed. So now I'm going to show you how to install MCP server. So GitHub Copilot, we already installed and connected to your GitHub. Second step, Playwright MCP server, we need to install. So to install MCP server, this is a major step. So this is a major step. So to install Playwright MCP server, we need to find exactly where this MCP server is located. Now just go to the Google, okay, and then search for simple Playwright MCP. Just search for Playwright MCP. And you will see one GitHub URL. Just go to there. This is their official MCP created by Playwright itself. Okay, so it is backed by the Microsoft itself. So Playwright MCP officially created by Microsoft. There are n number of Playwright MCPs are available in the market because every individual, they can create their own MCPs. But this is authenticated official MCP from Microsoft for Playwright. Okay, so we will try to use this. So this MCP, go to the documentation, read the instructions. So how we can install Playwright MCP? So what is this Playwright MCP? A model context protocol server that provides browser automation capabilities using Playwright. It provides the browser automation capabilities using Playwright. And this server enables LLMs to interact with the web pages through structured accessibility snapshots by passing the need for screenshot or visually tuned models. So whatever the features are available in the Playwright, almost by using every feature, this MCP will automatically generate the automation. Okay, and MCP cannot generate the code, guys. MCP will perform the actions. You understood my point? So here, very important point you need to understand. So we discussed this structure, right? As a user, we will provide the prompt and the LLM will interpret that prompt by using agent will send to the MCP. So MCP is not able to generate the code. But here we are able to generate the code by using Copilot. Okay, that's an option we are using. Copilot is an LLM which will able to generate the code. But who will execute it? MCP server will execute that code. Okay, remember that. MCP cannot generate the code. Whatever the code which is already generated by LLM, that can be executed by MCP. The code will be executed by MCP. It will perform the actions. Okay. So we will use a Copilot for generating the code and MCP for executing the code. Okay, that's the reason we are also integrating GitHub Copilot along with MCP server. Now go back to the documentation. So what it is clearly saying? It is clearly saying a model context protocol MCP server that provides automation capabilities using Playwright. This server enables LLMs to interact with the web pages through structured accessibility snapshot and other stuff. Okay. Now they provided some pre-requirements what exactly we need. So Node.js 18 or newer version we required. So we already installed Node.js and also Playwright and VS Code. These are the different editors or IDEs supported MCP. Like VS Code editor, Cursor is another editor, Windsurf, Claude desktop. These are all the different MCP clients because MCP server will able to connect to. These are all IDE. So as of now, our IDE is an MCP client. Our IDE is a MCP client. Okay, so to install this MCP server on your VS Code editor, so what we need to do is simply close these extensions for now. So we already have this project player, everything is there. Now we need to install MCP server, Playwright MCP server. So to install Playwright MCP server, there are multiple ways are there, but majority of the people will use this approach. So there are multiple options are here. Install server. Currently we are using VS Code. Install server, VS Code Insiders. There are two options are there. we go for the first option. Install server. These two are the buttons actually. So these two are the buttons. You can see blue color and green color, right? So just go to the first one. Install server. Once you click on this, and you can see, you will see one pop-up window, and just open this. Open VS Studio Code. So once you click on this pop-up, it will automatically connect it to your VS Code editor, which you already installed on your local system. Now, this will give you some pop-up like this. So inside this pop-up, you have to select the second one. Install server, not this. Yeah, the first one. So install MCP server Playwright. So by default, it will show you this. Install MCP server Playwright. Because I already installed it, it is giving like this. So, or select the second one, install server. Okay, once you click on it, install Playwright server. Once you click on it, this will automatically generate a file called settings.json file. Okay, and by default, settings.json file is already available in the particular path, because whenever you have installed Node.js, by default, you will get settings.json file. But additionally, what this will do is, this will added the MCP entry here. This particular entry, it is added. So if I look at this particular entry is got added. And if I look at this also, currently it is running. The Playwright MCP is currently running. And if you want to stop it, you can just click on stop. It will stop it. Again, if you want to start MCP server, again, you can start it. Where these options are available? Inside the settings.json. So if you forgot the path, just remember this path every time. Okay, in future, if you want to deal with the file, you can just go to this location and you can do whatever actions you want to do here. This is Playwright MCP installation. So we don't need to do any installation separately. As soon as you just click on that button, it will just connect it to your local VS Code editor, and it will give you this pop-up. And from the pop-up, you can just select install Playwright MCP, and then you will get this entry inside the settings.json file. Okay, this is the how we can install Playwright MCP. So once we have done it, you can simply close this. Suppose again, if you want to get that file, so simply go to the search box here and type the file name settings.json. Automatically, you will get the file. Okay. So here we can control Playwright MCPs. You can start, you can stop. So we can do actions here. Okay. Now, so we have successfully installed Playwright MCP server. Also, we have a GitHub Copilot plugin. So we have already installed GitHub Copilot. How we will get the GitHub Copilot? Go here, open chart. So GitHub Copilot window is available. Also, we have installed Playwright MCP server. Everything is there. But how we will know MCP Playwright server is installed or not? So Playwright MCP server, they have configured some commands. Okay, we can see those list of commands in Playwright MCP server. So if you want to see that, you can just click on this select tools option is available. You can just click on this. Here, GitHub Copilot chart is already installed. If I scroll down, you can see that MCP server Playwright, which is already installed. You can see all the commands are open. So what are those commands? Click, perform, click on web page, and close browser, and get console messages, drag mouse, upload files, generate Playwright test, handle dialog, house, hover mouse. So these are all the actions normally we do in the Playwright automation tests. So everything is successfully installed. But how many components have installed here, that will automatically shown here. Sometimes it may not be shown here, but you can ignore that. Okay, so when I click on the select tools, then you will be able to see all the tools here. So that means Playwright MCP is successfully installed in your VS Code editor, right? So everything is already ready now. So we have GitHub Copilot extension installed. Playwright MCP server is also installed. Now only thing is what? Now we are ready to generate our automation code and execute our automation code. Everything will done by MCP server. So generation of automation code will be done by Copilot. So once it is generated automation code, Playwright MCP server will run the code. So we don't need to do anything. Just we need to provide the proper context and prompt to the Copilot. From then onwards, MCP server or MCP will try to perform all the activities. Even if there are any issues in your code, Suppose GitHub Copilot is LLM, which is generated some automation code. Somehow that code is got failed, but MCP server will automatically fix it. So like that, we need to write a proper prompt and we need to provide a proper context. Okay. So now let us see how we can generate the tests using MCP server in VS Code editor. Okay. This is a magic will happen. Let me show you this. Now, so let us see how we can generate the code. So I'll show you two different tests. One is web test, another one API test. So MCP server will able to do both. Playwright MCP server is designed to handle both web as well as API. So for API, we don't need to have separate MCP. So uh, Playwright MCP by default supported web as well as APIs. Okay. Now, so what you need to do is go to VS Code editor. So we already have GitHub Copilot available and we already have a folder structure. In the test, by default, they have given simple sample test and that also I'm just trying to delete it. I don't have any tests. I don't have any files, nothing in my folder. It is just a plain project which we have created for Playwright, right? Now, I'm not going to write even single line of code, automation code. I'm not going to run the code also. Everything will be done by Copilot and MCP. Everything will be handled by Copilot and MCP. I'm not going to interact with anything. But we need to provide a proper prompt. We need to provide a proper text context. Okay. So what I will do is we will maintain some context. Test context means what? How we need to generate the test case, how we need to execute the test, where we need to save the test files. So that information we need to provide to the Copilot. Accordingly, it will act. So now what I'll do is in the pro folder itself, I'm going to create some new folder. And here I will maintain the test contexts, text context. So now to generate the web test, to generate the web automation test case, I will simply create a simple context file. So this can be any file, .prompt or .txt, in whichever format you want, you can just create some file. So I'm going to create something called web test context.txt. So you can create whichever extension you want. So in this, I'm going to provide a context of my test case. So I already have some context. I will give you this. You guys can use it, the same context. Almost for all web test cases, the same context will work. This is also a prompt actually. But in the chart box, in the Copilot chart box, we will actually provide the test case steps. Steps we will provide, but the context, the background we will provide in the test context. So here I'm adding some context. Just read this context, you can understand. So what I'm saying in this context, I'm saying Copilot. I'm talking to the Copilot now. So you are a Playwright test generator. So you are given a scenario and you need to generate a Playwright test for it. And do not generate test code based on the scenario alone. Read all the steps and generate the test. So do run the steps one by one using the tools provided by Playwright MCP. Only after all steps are completed, then emit the Playwright TypeScript test that uses this particular command on message history. This is all one single statement. So save generated test file in test directory. Where we want to generate the test file inside the test folder or test directory. Execute the test file and iterate until the test passes. And we also given the instructions, execute the test case until it passes. Suppose it is executed first time, it is got failed. It will try to fix it, again rerun. Again try to fix it, again rerun. It keep continue rerunning the test till it is passes. So this is a context which we provided. Okay, this is the context basically which we provided. This is a common thing for all kinds of web test cases. Okay, now save this. Now we will provide actual prompt in the chat box. So what is the test case I want to automate? We need to provide those instructions. But before providing instructions, we need to add this context to the Copilot. So to add context, you can simply drag and drop here, or else you can click on this add context is there, right? You can attach that file. So simply what I'm doing, I'm just dragging drop the file into Copilot. Now here it is attached. We provided all the instructions. Now we need to provide the test case steps. So what the test case steps you need to provide? So now I'm providing the proper prompt to generate the test case. So let me provide the steps here. See this, generate a Playwright test for the following scenario. So what is this? Navigate to this particular URL, search for t-shirts, verify the faded short sleeve t-shirts in the list. So simple, I'm providing 3 steps. So this is called vibe coding. You need to understand this terminology. What is vibe coding? We are not actually writing the test. We are not actually writing the code. Just we are providing the prompt and the tools will automatically write the code. And this process is called vibe coding process, especially when you working with AI. So vibe coding process will be followed. So vibe coding is simple. Without giving or without writing actual code, through the prompt, we will able to generate the code. That's called vibe coding process. Now, so let's provide this prompt. So we already attached the context and we are just provide the steps here, manual steps, and see the beauty or see the magic here. What will happen? It will automatically generate the code, and also it will automatically execute the test. Also it will save the test under the test folder. As of now I don't have any test inside the test folder, right? But before executing, it will ask you the permissions, it will ask you the privileges sometime, because it is trying to access your local resources, your local browser and everything, right? We need to provide the proper permissions to that. And before providing this prompt, we need to properly select the agent. So here we need to select the agent option and which agent you want to use. So there are 3 they have provided by default: Claude, GPT and GPT-4. So you can use whichever agent you want, whichever model you want. So you can use GPT or Claude. So you can use anything. So let me select the GPT, because all our LLM similar way it will work. Let me select the GPT now. So once you selected, then send this prompt and see the beauty. I'm sending this prompt. Just observe. Now Copilot is started doing everything. Now you can see the first step is got generated. Navigate to the URL. The step is got generated. Now what we need to? We need to continue it. Continue. Now you can see it is launched in my browser. Open the URL. The browser also parallel you can see here. Okay, browser is launched. The URL is also opened automatically. Now we can put this side by side. Now, what is the next thing it is doing? Type text into the editable content. It is identified the element search box. Also, it is provided the some text here. So let's continue. Click on continue. Now go back and see the browser. See, it is successfully searched t-shirts and product is got displayed. Now it is basically checking this product is available or not. So it is already checked it. Now it is asking, do you want to run the test? NPX playwright test search spec.ts. Do you want to run the test? It is also giving the command. See, parallelly code is also automatically generated. You can see that. This is the code which is generated by Copilot using MCP. See, launch the page and enter the t-shirts in the search box, enter and then verified it. Okay, now it is asking for, do you want to execute it? Run the command in terminal. Yes, continue. Just observe. I say continue. Now you can see it is connected to the command prompt and executed my test. So by default, 3 workers are configured. So it is running on 3 workers. Okay, now it is got failed because the code is generated by whom? Copilot. So it is got failed. So if it is got failed, what we need to do? It is failed 3 times, 3 workers, it is got failed. So don't worry. So our Copilot itself will able to fix that issue. So let me show you now. So again, go back to your VSCode editor. Still it is in running mode. Still it is in running mode. So it will keep running like this till it get fixed. Okay. Now what I will do is I will just try to say Control C, exited. So once it is exited, just observe, it is saying continue to iterate. Copilot has been working on this problem for a while. So the tests are failed. What we have said in the context, rerun the test multiple times till it get passed. So it is keep running the test, keep fixing the issues. So I interrupted the execution now. Intentionally interrupted the execution. Immediately what Copilot is saying, Copilot has been working on this problem. It is clearly saying it is working on the issue. It can continue iterate, or you can send the new message to refine the prompt. So you can provide the new prompt here, or you can continue to fix the issues. Okay, I'm just saying continue. So it is trying to fix. Again, see, it is regenerating the code every time and it is trying to execute. Again, you want to execute it? Yes, continue. So this time it is taking at the different kind of locator. So it keeps continue until the issues have been fixed. See now, this time it is get passed. So first time when Copilot is generated the test, MCP run the test on the browser, it is failed. Now again, the same Copilot is try to fix the issues and again rerun it and passed. See this, all three workers are currently working, three browsers, all three are got passed. So this is the magic, guys, Copilot with MCP. Okay. So same thing, just provide the test case here and run it. Automatically it will generate the code automatically. And still we have not saved the test. And finally what it is asking, keep or undo. When I say keep here, the file will be automatically saved inside the test folder. Simply say keep here. Now you can see, you can just close your Copilot and see under test, your test is ready. So like this, you can automate complex test cases. It can be as much of complex. You can simply automate it. Okay. So have we done anything here? Nothing. Just we provide a simple prompt. That's it. It is automatically interact with the browser, perform the actions, generated the code. If it is a failed, again, it is automatically fix those issues. So this is how Playwright MCP works. It will fail because LLM, whatever the code generated by LLMs, that is not final code. Sometimes even LLMs also can do mistakes. LLMs also can do mistakes. Okay, so we don't expect LLM will provide the accurate code. Even if you use ChatGPT or any Google Gemini, if you ask something, don't expect 100% accurate result every time. Okay, so sometimes it will definitely fail. Sometimes it will pass. If it is failed, then our Copilot will help us to rerun the test automatically. Okay, so this is how EMCP works. So the code generator, which is the tool, inbuilt tool, which is already available in the Playwright. So the code generator tool will just help us to generate the code. Okay, that will not take care of everything. It cannot execute, it cannot install dependencies. It is just to help us to generate the code automatically. But again, we need to interact with the browser and do all the actions. Accordingly, it will record the test. But here, are we doing any actions on the browser? No, we are not interacting with the browsers actually. Are we launching the page? Are we clicking on the button? No, nothing. Copilot, MCP is doing that job. But in case of code gen tool, in Playwright built-in tool, we need to interact with the browsers and accordingly it will record all the actions. But here, even we don't have any interaction, automatically everything will be done. So that's how Playwright MCP works in generating automation test cases. Everything will be taken care. Okay. Now, so let me also show you how we can do API testing, how we can generate the API tests. Let me just clear this because Playwright will also support API. So just now we generated web test. Now similarly API test also we can easily generate. Yes, so the Copilot will automatically generate everything. Okay, so suppose you follow the page object model approach. Page object model approach, right? Each page is having a separate locators and the test will be different. But in that case, how we can handle? So let me show you one example for page object model, how exactly this will generate page object model. Okay, let me close this and close everything. Now let me show you another example where I will demonstrate how exactly we can work with the page object classes. So generate page object model. So for that, what we need to simply we need to provide the proper part. So we don't need any test context because we're not going to write any test. Simple. So what I will do is I will try to rename the file. Search it t-shirts 001. Okay, now let me show you how we can generate the same test with a page object model. How we can generate the same test using page object model. So let's see that. Directly jump to the Copilot and open Copilot. This is our previous history. If you want to simply clear it, you can just go here and open chart in just right click new chart. Okay, so it will be cleared everything. Now we don't have any context, so directly you provide the prompt. So now I'm going to provide a simple prompt. I want to generate the test using page object model approach. So in the page object model approach, we need to interact with the multiple pages. right? For example, if I took this particular test alone, so to do the same test, so what we need to first we need to go to home page. So search box and search button is available in the home page. So once you have done the search here, then it will navigate to the another page. So how many pages we needed here? Two different pages we required. So how it will do that? Let's see. So I'm just providing a simple prompt. We don't have any context here, just directly provide the prompt. So what I'm saying, create a POM model for below steps. Navigate to this URL, search for t-shirts, verify faded short sleeve t-shirts in the list. Same test case, but this time I'm asking through page object model. Through page object model. So we already have one single test case. Just ignore it. Now let us see how it will able to generate through page object model. So I'm selecting agent, and you can use whichever agent you want. You can also use Claude if you want. Okay, so now I'm using GPT 4.1 and say send this prompt. Just observe very carefully. I'm not doing anything else. It will do itself automatically. It is searching if there are any tests are there. It is also searching is there any pages are there or not. So it is searching for everything. So now it is simply say continue to iterate. Copilot has been working on this problem for a while. It can continue to iterate, or you can send a new message to refine your prompt. Okay, so let's go and execute it. Continue. Just observe very carefully how it is going to do. It will automatically generate everything. See this? Page object class is got generated. It's a magic. Page object class is got generated. See this? And what is saying Copilot has been, and also not only page object class, it is also able to generate the test sometimes. You can see this is the TS file. This is the page object class actually, right? So what you're saying, Copilot has been working on this problem for a while. It can continue iterate, or you can send a new message, refine the prompt. Okay, say continue. See, now it is also generating the test file. Test file is also generated. You can see this. This is the old file actually. So if I go back somewhere, mm, here it is showing. You see POM automation practice.ts. So this is our POM file. The below one is an actual test, which because it is already available, it is not generating new actually. It is modifying the existing one. Okay, it is trying to modify the existing one. You can see this. Because there are some changes, right? Previously the test one is different, this time is different. So what I can do is better to delete everything. So let me cancel it, and let me open the new chart, undo and continue. So previously whatever the test case which is already there, it is trying to modify the existing text using page object model. Okay, so what I can do is I can just try to delete everything. So just have completely new, nothing is there now. Okay, and what I can do, even web context is also not needed for this particular test case. So I can also delete this for now. Nothing is there in my project. Now I want to create a new test with a page object model. So what I can do, I can just provide the prompt one more time. Just provide the new prompt, fresh prompt, and create a POM model for below steps. So agent and GPT 4.1. So send it. See the magic. It will automatically generate everything. We are not going to do anything. First, it will generate the page object class. Simply say continue. So it is finding all the folders, existing folders. See, the page object class is got generated automatically. And again, continue this, continue. So now it is generating the test file. So test file is also automatically generated. You can say this is my POM file, this is my test file. So it is asking to run or not. So before running, what I'll do is I will just make workers only one. So it will take some time. Okay, now I'm just doing continue. So try to execute through POM file. So this is our POM file. You can see home page is got created, constructor, search for search results. So it is created two classes actually. We can separate them in two files. This is one file, one class, and this is another class. They included both the classes, one single file. You can maintain the different files also, not a problem. So say continue, it will start running my test. Using POM, it is created my test case. See this, it is started running my test. Perfect, it is get passed. Now if I look at the folder, this is our POM file, this is our test case file. Now our test is trying to use our page object model class. You can see home page object is got created and is accessing the methods which are created in the home page. And also it is accessing the method from the search results page. How many pages are created? 2 page classes are created for 2 pages, right? So this is how it is got created. Now what we can do it, if you want to keep these files in your folders, yes or no, we can specify that. So we can simply say keep. When I say keep here, the files will be automatically saved in your folder. So our Copilot will always search whenever it is trying to generate the new test cases. It will always search, is there any existing files are available related to this? If any existing files are available, it will try to modify them. If it is not available, then it will try to create a new test file. Now you can see this is your POM file and this is your test file successfully created. Okay. So file name is a user defined. So if you want, you can provide that also as part of the context. So after generating the test also, we can change the file names. So page object classes, file names always will be .ts, right? And the test case files are spec.ts. Okay. So this is how we can use Playwright MCP to generate web test cases or UI test cases. Okay. Now, so let us see how we can do it for API test cases, how we can generate API test cases. So for that, what I'm going to do is, let's try to remove this for now. So now I don't have anything, everything is a fresh project. Now what I can do is, even Copilot is also empty, you don't have anything. So now I'm going to generate, if there are any utility files are required, this will automatically generate. Everything, it depends on the prompt, the context, what you are providing. Even assertions also it will able to add. And you need to provide the proper prompt. So that also we need to include in the prompt. So then it will able to generate the assertions also. Okay. Same, everything should be part of the prompt. So we no need to do anything in the test. So whatever we ask, that will be done. That's it. Okay, even suppose if you forgot to ask something, then you can provide the prompt later also. So once it is successfully generated, everything is successfully executed, fine, you have saved the file. But the chart window still open, right? So in the chart window, you can ask Copilots, try to add assertions like that, or try to add some comments to the test. So like that, you can give some prompts and it will automatically modify the existing text which is generated by MCP. Okay. So now let me show you the API testing. So how we can generate API test. So for that, I don't have, I can create a context for that because it's an API test, which we need to create a separately because web test is different, API test is different. So we need to provide proper context. So what I'll do is in the test context, I will create a new file, API test context. The name can be anything, guys. I'm just giving a relevant name here. And the extension also can be anything, .md, .prompt, .ts, .tx, whatever, txt. You can provide it whichever file you want. So API test context. Now I'm providing a proper API test context here. And after that, I will provide the actual API test case to the Copilot. Now, just a moment. Right. So this is, let me close this. Okay. Now this is my API context. What I'm asking Copilot is, you are an API test generator using Playwright MCP. Use Playwright request context. So what is the request? Request is one of the feature, right? And Playwright test framework. So the test should send HTTP request to the target API. What are the validations I'm adding here? Just observe. This is how we need to provide validations or assertions. Validate the status code, response body, and schema. So if you want to validate schema, what are the things we required? Schema validation. AJV package we required. AJV in the previous classes I have shown you. So the AJV package additionally we required to validate the schema, but we have still not installed that. If I go back and see the package JSON, we don't have that model. But even that also installed by Copilot. If there are any external dependencies are required, we don't need to install manually. Our Copilot will automatically find out and it will automatically install it. So I'll show you. So schema if available. So these are the, and wherever it is required async wait syntax, it will use. And also I'm asking print useful logs for debugging if it is needed. And also I'm asking export the test to the spec.ts file under test folder. So these are all the different instructions I'm just providing. So these are the instructions I have provided. Okay. Now, so accordingly, this is our test context, guys. Okay. Now let us provide the test. So once you close this, now go back and open the open chat. And this time we will try to add this context, drag and drop. And now I will provide the actual test case, API test case. So this time I'm trying to use one API. Just a second. Yeah. So this is my test, guys, API test. So what exactly it will do is when I send this URL, request, you can try in any browser or you can try in Postman also. When I send this request, whatever ID I provided here, path parameter one, it is generated some response here. You can see ID, title, and you can see image and rate, count. So some response you got it here. Now we need to do some validation on the response and which they have also provided. So define the API endpoint. This is my API. Send the get request to the endpoint. I'm asking to generate the get request. Verify the response code is 200. And similarly, validate the response contains ID, title, price, category, and so on. Optionally, validate the data types using JSON schema. Validating the data types is in the sense what? Schema validation. To validate the schema, we need this particular package, AJV package, especially in JavaScript and TypeScript. But we haven't installed that. We haven't installed AJV package. That is not shown in package.json. So it is not installed, but we will do it. Our Copilot itself will do it. MCP server itself will do it. After that, what I'm saying, log the product title and price to the console window. So this is my test. Context we have attached and provide the test. Now see the beauty. So this time I will try to use some other agent. So we already use GPT 4.1. So this time I'm trying to use Claude Sonnet. So this is another LLM. So select it and send this request. Now observe the beauty. So this will do everything automatically. So whatever we provided, everything is doing it. But this one is a little bit slow, but ChatGPT is a little bit faster than this. Yeah. See this? To validate the schema, we need this module actually, but we haven't installed it. It is asking us. So GitHub Copilot is giving this instruction. So do you want to install this for JSON schema validation? Yes, continue. See this? It is trying to execute the command in the command prompt automatically. And once it is done, it will start creating our code and everything. See this. So now I will create an API test file that implements all required steps. So first let me create the file. See this beauty? It is automatically created everything. The file is got created, it imported required stuff and created an object for AGB, and this is our product schema is got created and test is got created. This is my get request, got the response, status code validation, JSON validation, body, everything is validated. Assertions also added. And finally, schema validation is also done. Finally, product details also printed. So code is got successfully generated. Now it is asking us to execute or not. Yes, continue. So now it will try to execute the test. So now it is executed and my test is got passed. And finally, it is asking, do you want to keep the test in the folders or not? Yes, keep it. Click on the keep. Now it is added here. And then you can close this Copilot. See how much time it is taken to generate the test? Within seconds. Within seconds, we have done everything. See, this is the game changer feature, guys. MCP server. Okay, understood, everyone? So we have successfully generated web test, and also we have generated web test using POM, page object model approach, and also we are able to generate API test using Playwright MCP. So just do a round of practice and get familiar with this. And this is still evolving actually. So this is not the complete stuff. So the MCPs are, so many MCPs are coming in the market for different tools for different purposes. It is still evolving features. Okay. So that is all about Playwright MCP. I hope you understood everything about this. So the terminologies, what is vibe coding? Vibe coding in the sense what? Whatever the actions we have done only through prompts, we are doing it. We have not written any test. We are not doing anything. Just by prompting, we are achieving everything. This is called vibe coding or vibe programming. Okay. So that is all about Playwright MCP, how we can use MCP to generate the test in Playwright.